Thank you for coming. I will talk about some tricks from like developer's life. It's this relatedly called "How to Get Inspiration," because the idea is not to repeat but to invent something, and Drupal core is a good source of inspiration when you read it. So a couple of words about myself. You can like check my. It goes to this QR code goes to my LinkedIn page. My nickname on Drupal.org is down here, written down here. If you can read it, like I don't know how to pronounce it. And I'm working. Again, it's very hard to count in years. But I remember that my first Drupal experience was with Drupal 5, and but I try not to be limited with Drupal, which is hard. But I do some like coding and not coding, and some Node.js, React, trying to do some Python, whatever. My last presentation, like a year back, was on Amazon Cloud. I'm connected with Drupal, but anyway, so I don't know, like I train some runners in my life, so you can ask me about everything. Without any guarantee for response, of course. And I worked with many companies in many countries in several languages, actually. In Europe, United States, Russia, Czechia, whatever, like big, small, and yes, have tons of stories to tell and not to tell. I like to analyze things. I don't like producing code. I like to understand how things work. And yes, and talk and write. Well, I like to. More than I do, but there are some write-ups on Medium, some posts on LinkedIn, whatever. You may check it, and feel free to reach out with any questions, thoughts, like proposals, or whatever. I do like sort of freelancing. Okay, enough about myself. Okay, and let's start from the very beginnings of development, from 14th century. This time was like not really introduced, but this is my favorite engineering principle. It comes from 14th century and is called Occam's razor. It is supposed to be introduced by medieval scholar, scientist Vadim from Occam, and it says like, do not multiply entities without necessity. So when you have something that works, it works. Do not add anything to it. If you have some explanation, some minimal set of whatever rules, hypotheses for an explanation, that's enough. You don't need to add anything. And from all these development principles, like do not repeat yourself, like keep it simple and whatever, these are basically reinvention or rewording of medieval. Not even medieval or antique principle. So yes, and a bit more to set the ground. So at the time of Drupal 5, there was like a saying, "Code is poetry," and now it is attributed. No one knows who said it. Now it is attributed to WordPress inventors. But I'm pretty sure that at that time there was no WordPress, but there was this saying. So I would like to argue. And that means that, there is another of my favorite saying from disruptor of rock music, as today would be said, like Frank Zappa. Talking about music is like dancing about architecture. It applies to everything. Like talking about code, talking about poetry is not writing poetry. Talking about code, knowing all the principles, knowing like whatever definitions of dependency injection, definition of principles, does not translate to being able to craft a solution which uses these principles. Like there are poets and there are like historians of poesy, and they don't like poetry. Like there are like musical critics. They don't write music. Okay, so, something more, and the criteria, code should be beautiful. And beauty is simplicity. It's not complexity. It's not. It's something which is simple and functional. Because why we think something is beauty? Beauty is something that attracts us, and it attracts us because it is functional. Very basic instincts to whatever, in social life, and that means that code should be beautiful. That's the only criteria, and that means it should be simple. Okay, but another important notice that simplicity is not hidden inside the thing itself. Simplicity is how you see it. Simplicity is your understanding of the things. Why I'm telling this? Because I saw many people being scared and thinking like Drupal code is complex. When you see whatever entity annotation, there are many keys. How all this works? Like shorting, if you go to tutorials, there are tons of keys, and they say here you should use this one. Here you should use key entity form. If you don't have any entity form, you should use entity router. If you don't have this, and how it works. It's very confusing, and people are scared of it. But yes, another citation of Michelangelo, to make a sculpture, you just need to take a piece of marble and remove all which is not necessary. Very simple, and you get David. There is I guess not many people here speak Arabic, and even in the next room either. And there is you should read from in the opposite direction that we used to, and you see it makes no sense. You can you'll be confused. You see different letters. I don't know. I'm not even sure that everyone can understand where one letter ends and another starts. And this, I don't have a pointer, but in fact, this first that means this one letter is the same as this one and this one. But it's not obvious until you know it. And it's in totally there are 26 letters. It's the same simple as Latin alphabet. But you are used to Latin alphabet, and you clearly see that this inscription in Gothic script is absolutely the same as the inscription is in handwriting. While letters are they look totally different, but in fact they're the same. That's because you understand it. It's simple for you. The Arabic is not more complex, but we just don't know it, and that make it look complex. Okay, so Drupal is simple, but one should understand the principles underlying this simplicity. There is a list of say keywords. It's not something that translates to architecture or whatever, because basically whatever you need, there's likely that there is a service for it, because it's service-based, whatever, render, load, to load something, render something, get whatever configuration. There are more than 500 services in Drupal core, all the routing, everything. So start, if you have some idea that you need to find something, start looking for a service with this name. Or Drupal is based on entities, and there are basic classes for entities content entity base, config entity base, or just entity base, which is a parent of those two. And many things are rooted in this, say, mechanics. And thing that I admire. Like everything has an interface, and interfaces are like great reading, because if someone like tried programming in modern JavaScript, you cannot find like roots of anything. Like you cannot. It's not documented. It's like goes from whatever React, whatever. Like it's a nightmare to find some clear explanation. Like Symfony is a document. You can go to trace back to class or whatever, like to the source of what you need, but it's not like you won't find explanation in the code base. But Drupal is unique in this sense. You can just read the commands to the interfaces, and basically that's all you need. And routing, so getting like looking through routes may give you some clues and preprocess and configuration. Okay. So how to like that's still a bit of general considerations. So if you have say a problem, if you try to find a solution, how to proceed. If you just don't have any idea, I would start from like talking. I would start with talking to ChatGPT or whatever, like Claude, whoever. But keep in mind that they, especially in the relation to Drupal, they produce some not reliable say texts. So they may give you hints. That you use for further investigation. Some keywords, classes which may exist or may not exist, or like services which may exist or may not exist. Try looking for them. Then there's documentation on Drupal, Drupal.org, which I do not use because it's all like it's a compilation of the code base of comments from the code base. And tutorials are of the same level as ChatGPT. They can give you the hints. But the essential thing is the ability to navigate the code base. And there are several tools for it, not tools, but say techniques. And just starting from simple simple text search in the whole like core database, core code base. It may give you keys. In PHP Storm, there's a navigate tool which suggests if you have like an idea that you need for example, a service, you start like searching for a service, Symfony component type the word like image style, for example, and you will get some suggestions, and you can go from there and find what you need. Because objects and arrays and whatever like Drupal uses like they're very complex. It's always useful to like set a breakpoint and look what you have at certain points. Look at the structure of the variables you have, and look at the backtrace, how it's from where it travels. Of course, cache kind of complicates this. So at certain points, you see like something goes through, something comes from like certain parameter, which was like which comes from nowhere, which was populated several steps back. But okay, so let's finally go to some like practical examples. I want like out of a few people here, like how many of you have used form displays? So everyone uses like entity view displays. But there's also a form displays, which you can like set like any form for this entity. So I guess, yes, it's not that uncommon. Yeah, I just wondered. I had the use case to, well, change some forms for the entities, and some fields, whatever. And I remember that there is a thing that it's called like third-party services, third-party settings. But that's not like we use every day. So exactly, how do they exactly work? What should I do? And I looked through several tutorials, and they kind of were telling me some started. You need to do like you need to implement like hook alter widget. You need to implement this form, that form. You need, but why? What gives like every step? And here what I like really suggest: go to the source and look how it works. So I omit, of course, here the comments, but initially, third-party settings interface is like utterly simple. You can set and read, like get third-party setting. So why all these forms, why all those hook alters, or hook widget alters, or whatever, like. Okay, let's look further. We have like let's look for examples how these third-party form settings are implemented in the core or in like reliable contrib. I should here make a note that Drupal core actually cares for much more that it implements. So there can be some mechanics which kind of you may implement, but you cannot find an example in Drupal core. I cannot like remember this from the top of my head, but it's like not for any marginal case. You can find a good example in the core. Like a lot, where should we look? But in fact, all these implementations of third-party settings, they result from several like steps of inheritance, and they boil down if we check how certain method where it is implemented. There are very few implementations, and we can go to any of them and check. And it actually boils down to the very simple thing, like they sit in the configuration. And again, it was like my discovery several like years back. Not mine, because Hristo Chonov, I had a kind of luck to work with him. He's one of co-maintainers of Entity API. He said like, why are you afraid of writing by hand configuration? Like, yes, it's exported, it's generated, but that doesn't mean that we like cannot write it by hand, because the only requirement is you understand what you are doing. So once you understand how it works, no problem. And it's like not complicated. It was all these third-party settings boil down to settings sitting in the configuration, and that's it. And configuration you can again, based on the examples which you can find in the core, you can read it like all this configuration can be read. All this like the display configuration can be read by a method which comes from content entity form. And again, like I noticed that when you like write whatever like your entities forms, whatever your classes, you inherit from some basic base classes, and they have like lots of stuff, and most people like don't pay attention to what they inherit from. So it's very useful to like check like inherited methods, and like you will find a bounty there. So it's very simple. You have a method which reads all this configuration. You go iterate through fields again with the method that you have from you inherited, and then you can do absolutely what you want to do. So you can do it at any step, anywhere. Yes. Then comes like a question, how do we use it? So if you want this to be displayed in a configuration form for this form view, you need to implement like a widget, hook widget alter, whatever. But again, you don't need to, because again, you may export configuration, but you may not. In this case, we had some crazy entities with hundreds of fields, and managing this through configuration was absolutely like suicidal. So we just don't do it. So we don't need this whatever, like managing widgets, whatever. We don't use it. We have a configuration. We write it by hand. We save it. We track it with Git. Okay, and then we use it in our like form displays to change some widgets, to change some orders, whatever, like to make multi-step forms, to make these fields appear at certain steps, whatever. Like do whatever you want. Okay, they say like you need to provide a configuration schema. Yes, you need to, basically. If you are like contributing a model to the community, you need to take it with a different approach when you're writing for like certain project. Because again, like understand why you need this configuration schema. It is used only for translations. If you don't have any translatable third-party settings, well, basically nothing will break. You will have some notices, but you understand. Well, okay, that's life. Another use case, which is kind of more complicated, and again, like this, when like a developer sees like PHP code, it's understandable. This is code. It runs like by line, first line, second line, yes, cycles, whatever. It can be like you can use like abstractions, inheritance, whatever, but it's code. It's understandable. Here, when we face configuration of any kind, basically, how it doesn't run from top to bottom. It's configuration, how it works, and I think here many people take it like as a bit of mystery, and they try to like guess what we need to put here, what are parameters, what are. But it boils down to, say, some shortcuts for repeatable code. So instead of writing like inherited class for every like case with some repeated functionality, you can put it just in configuration in some like key parameter key in a YAML file, whatever. Like it may be like form display, can be routing, whatever. It's just like the tool to compress repeatable functionality. And again, it's very simple. It boils down to there is no mystery. You can easily find like in the code places how it works, how it is used. No black magic. And in this case, for example, we had like entity forms, but it was a bit complicated. They were like related entities, and we needed in the root parameter we had not the entity that the ID of related entity, not of the one which should be loaded, if it's clear. So kind of reasonable, but not like default use case. And we can easily like this is a default an example of form root, entity form root taken from menu UI module. And let's just dissect it, see how does, what means like entity form, how does it work. And this is very simple I don't remember the name of the class, I have written it somewhere, but it works like very simple. So if there is no controller, and if there is this parameter, we call some method which puts their default controller. So no missing functionality, no missing parts. Like controller is always there, we just don't see it. Okay, but we need to we need to make a second step because we need to change this controller and to make it load something different. Okay, it's again rather simple. We just overload this controller and we yes, this is a default getForm object from this default controller. We see how it works. It loads where it loads the form, how it loads the entity. We need to load another entity, so we change this to load another entity by the relation, and to override one method from default controller. Okay, so we have like another class, and as we remember, here was the condition if controller is empty. But if it's not empty, we can put put our controller there in place. No one like in the tutorial you will see like if you have an entity form parameter, there's no controller parameter. But we see that it works like how it works, and we can make it work like this. So if we need to change the controller, we just put the controller, and we have our more complex functionality without reinventing the wheel. We are using the what Drupal gives us, and maybe like I was pretty sure that entities normally entities are loaded by ID, by their ID, and I was pretty sure there should be some default functionality that loads them by UUID, but I couldn't find it. Maybe someone will point me out. But okay, in this case we also have core mechanics, and here I think this is exactly the case of this parameter converter, which is not present in the core. It's it's scared by, but it's hard to find the example. So I think I kind of get this from some tutorial, from some explanation, and then dug into the code and saw how it works. Okay, so one more example from this series. Again, root is basically all this YAML configuration is a very simple thing. It's sort of, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's array or a parameter bag, which is Symfony analog for array. But you can very easily read what you put there. You can put any parameter. Technically, there is no there are no checks. There are no forbidden words there. So you can whatever you need to write there, you write there, and then you use it in your flow. In this case, I needed to introduce some keys for access checking. Okay, we have this root. We put there what we need to, and we don't reinvent the wheel. We don't write the code more code that we need to. Here we go. This is actually the last slide, but the same way works with say entity annotation. Any entity key is not a mystery. It's just a key which is make part of an array, and you can introduce your own keys and you can use it as you like. So I have introduced a set of keys to link because default I don't remember the name, but there is like a key that binds a path to the like entity forms to the path of this entity form. But it is like again, to me it seems too rigid, and I just wrote some different logic to bind this my custom forms. But again, not to repeat myself, I introduced the key in the entity annotation to bind roads to the forms based on some condition in the workflow. It's a vague statement, but whatever you want to do, you can do without like writing tons of code. These are links to the explanation of these cases on Medium. So if you want to like dig a little bit, you may go and read. And if there are any questions, well, I actually can ask a question for myself or for the audience, because how important is to actually to do custom Drupal development nowadays, because to my kind of understanding, main challenge is like integrating. Like Drupal is taken as like a given tool, and most of the work is connected with like integrating with whatever like other APIs, external APIs, but no one would like reinvent. Even if you need like this complex form workflow, like you can take some. I'm not sure it exists, but I think it exists. Some external like form generating solution, write some like front end in Drupal, connect it, and that will be the solution like most people will do now.